Hello! It has been a while since I've done a reading challenge, but I'm back and this one is the festive edition. So it's December. I personally, although I'm not religious, do celebrate Christmas because I enjoy all the decorations and the spending time with family and giving gifts and watching people get excited by the gifts that I've bought for them. So I do celebrate Christmas. But there are also lots of other festive celebrations going on at this time of year, particularly in November and December. So I wanted to do a reading challenge that celebrates some of those. So we're looking at Christmas, we're looking at Eid and Hanukkah and Diwali. Now, finding Christmas books was very easy, but finding books for Eid, Hanukkah and Diwali was actually really challenging, and that's incredibly sad. So I have placed an order for some books, and I also have some books already. So I'll show you the ones that I have first, and then we'll talk about the ones that are on their way to me. So firstly, I want to just briefly mention The Afterlife of Holly Chase, which I read for the first time last year. It's a Christmas Carol retelling and I really enjoyed it, so I would like to reread it this year. So it won't be a main focus of this challenge, but I thought that I'd mention it since I'll be reading it this season. I am actually hoping to reread this using an audiobook. I have a CD version of it, which I don't have a CD player and you don't seem to be able to transfer the files from the CD to a phone, which is frustrating, but I also have a hold for it at the library, the audiobook I mean. And then my kind of main read is This Winter by Alice Oseman, which is a very short novella, only about 100 pages or so, and this one follows the Spring siblings. So we have Charlie from Heartstopper, Tori from Solitaire, and their younger brother Oliver over the holidays, so this should be really cute. And because that one's so short, I'd also like to pick up What Light by J. Asher, which follows Sierra and her family-run Christmas tree farm. And I got this in my mystery book haul unboxing video that I did earlier on in the year, so I will link that for you. This one's quite short too, just over 230 pages I think, so a nice quick one. And I would also like to read Dash and Lily's Book of Dares because it has been adapted into a Netflix television series, so I'd like to read the book and then watch at least some of the TV series as part of this reading challenge. I have not bought a copy of the book because it appears that the only copy available is the adaptation cover, and I can't stand adaptation covers, so I'm just going to listen to the audiobook. It's available through Scribed anyway. And then for books that I have on order, first we have Once Upon an Eid, which is a short story collection compiled by S.K. Ali and Aisha Saeed, which is stories about Eid. And I, as I say, have ordered a copy of it. It's on its way to me, might take a couple of weeks, but I have also got an audiobook version of it from the library as well, so if I want to start it before the physical copy arrives, then I can. That's for Eid. For Hanukkah, I have purchased Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins, which is actually a very short story about Hanukkah. It's only 30 pages, which I only realised after I'd purchased it. So I am going to try and find another Hanukkah book to read, but for right now I do have that one on the way, and that is by Eric A. Kimmel. And then for Diwali, I actually have a graphic novel called Sita's Ramayana by, the text is by Samita Arni and the illustration is by Moina Chitrakar. So this is the story, a graphic version of the story of Sita and Rama, which is one of the main stories of Diwali. And I'm not familiar with it. I've heard of it before, but I've never read the story or heard the story at all. And this one is told from Sita's perspective, and apparently it's got some feminist twists to it, so that should be interesting. So that's the one that I am reading for Diwali. If I can find any more and fit them in, then I will. But as I said, it was quite a challenge. I have, like I said, ordered those, so they're on their way to me. It might be a couple of weeks before they get here, but I have books to keep me going until then for this challenge, and once they arrive I will show them to you. But I think I might start with Dash and Lily so that I can get started on watching the TV series throughout the weeks that I suspect this reading challenge will take, because I'm waiting for those other books. Anyway, this isn't a super long intro, but all of the information is now out there so we can get into the reading. So it's now the next day. I don't know if I told you what the date was yesterday when I opened up this vlog, but it's now the 3rd of December, and I have finished reading Dash and Lily's Book of Dares. It didn't take me very long. It's a very short book. I liked it fine. I thought it was a fun idea. I thought it was executed quite well, but it was just a little bit too tame for me, a little bit too on the young side of young adult for a rom-com for me. Probably not helped by the fact that the last book I finished was a smutty romance, so this was very tame by comparison, but I still kind of enjoyed myself, and I have now started watching the Netflix adaptation. I've watched the first 2 episodes, and excuse you, that's Haruki. The cats love playing with the Christmas tree. Don't ya? Don't you? Do you love playing with the Christmas tree? Do you love it? You love the Christmas tree, don't you? Haruki in particular tries to eat the tree. It's fake, it's plastic, but he still tries to eat it. So I've watched the first 2 episodes of Dash and Lily on Netflix, and shockingly I am enjoying it more than the book, which I suppose doesn't necessarily surprise me, because I feel like this kind of rom-com works better for me in a visual format. But anyway, I'm on episode 2. Well, I'm about to start episode 3. There are 8 episodes in total. It's about 8:45 now, so I'm not going to finish all of them tonight, but I will finish all of them within a pretty short space of time, definitely by the end of the weekend. Tomorrow is Friday, so I do still have work, but then the weekend is going to be pretty open, and I think I'm going to try and read all of the Christmas based books apart from The Afterlife of Holly Chase, which I'm waiting for my audiobook hold to come through on, although I suppose I could start listening to my CD at my computer. Anyway, it's not the point. So I want to finish reading those this weekend, because on Monday Shardathon round 2 starts. So I want to start reading for Shardathon on Monday, so I want to finish the Christmassy reads that I have before then, and then I can read my Shardathon books whilst I wait for the other books to come in the mail. And I'm going to get back to watching Dash and Lily, and I guess that I will see you later. Okay, so you know how I said that I wasn't gonna watch the whole of Dash and Lily tonight? Well, I kinda did. All 8 episodes, because I'm apparently incapable of not just binging all forms of media. So I watched the whole thing. I liked it a lot more than the book, which is unusual for me, but I did. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun and cute. There were some changes from the book, but that was okay. Didn't bother me too much. One change did bother me slightly, but I think I'll get over it. So yeah, it's now midnight and I have to be up for work in the morning. And I need to be up earlier than normal for work, because as you can see, I desperately need to wash my hair in the morning, because I cannot teach on camera looking like this. So I'm gonna go to bed now. So I'm just about to sit down and film, but I thought that I'd update you on what I'm going to read next. So I think I'm going to read This Winter and What Light next. This one's only 100 pages and the text is quite big and the margins are quite big. So I might just try and read this one tonight and then start this one if I finish it. This one I've got an audiobook for through my library, but I've been on the phone and teaching a lot today, so I kind of need a bit of a break from sound. Does that make sense? Is that just me? So I think I'm going to read this one physically for a while at least first. But as I say, it's only 100 pages, so it shouldn't take me too long. And then once I finish that, then I will move on to What Light. So that's the plan. Right, hello. It's been a while since I've updated you because I've been waiting for all the rest of the books to arrive and they now finally have. So I thought that I would show you them. So I've got Once Upon an Eid compiled and edited by S.K. Ali and Aisha Saeed, but it includes 15 different authors. I also received Sita's Ramayana by Sumita Ani and Moina Chitrakar, and the style of artwork of this looks really interesting, unlike any graphic novel artwork I've ever seen before, but thoroughly colourful and beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And as I said, this one is a collection of short stories about Eid, and this one is Sita's Ramayana, which is the story of Diwali told from the perspective of Sita, which is really interesting. And then I also finally got Herschel and the Hannukah Goblins by Eric Kimmel and illustrated by Trina Schartz-Hyman. It's very short. I'm going to read this in sort of like 10 minutes, if that. But that's okay because I want to hit 200 books by the end of the year. I'm currently on 179. I'll be on 180 by the end of this evening, but it is also the 12th of December. So I have, 19 days left to read 20 books. So this is necessary. And then the final, I got two more because apparently I have no chill. So the first one is Recommended for You by Laura Silverman, which I think is a hate to love romance. Yes, it's a hate to love romance set during Hanukkah, and both characters are Jewish. So that's another Hanukkah read. I'm probably saying that wrong, really sorry. And then finally, another anthology. This is My True Love Gave to Me, which was edited by Stephanie Perkins. I had real trouble getting hold of this. I think it must be out of print, so I got it second hand from World of Books. It was published only in 2014, so I don't really understand why it's so difficult to get hold of, but it is a collection of festive stories, not just about Christmas. So I was interested to read a short story collection that is a mixture of different festive traditions, since that's kind of the point of this reading challenge. I wanted to see how evenly divided this is. So I don't know that I'll necessarily read all of it. This first one is by Rainbow Rowell and it is New Year's themed. Then The Lady and the Fox by Kerry Link is Christmas. Angels in the Snow by Matt de la Pena, also Christmas. It's not looking good so far. I feel like this is all going to be Christmas and New Year, in which case I might not prioritise it for this reading challenge because it's kind of not the point and I already have enough Christmas stories. The next one is by Jenny Han. Polaris is Where You'll Find Me. Let's see. This is the first time I'm properly looking at this because this is the thing about anthologies. You can't really tell what's in them until you have them. Christmas. Stephanie Perkins, It's a Yuletide Miracle, Charlie Brown. That's going to be Christmas as well, isn't it? So far, I am disappointed. I thought that this was going to be like a proper... Because it says on the back, whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah, winter solstice or Kwanzaa, this collection of 12 gorgeous stories will make you swoon with all the magic of the holidays. So far, it's only Christmas and New Year. Which, and that one's Christmas too. Your Temporary Santa by David Levithan. That's going to be Christmas, I'm not even going to bother checking. Krampusslauf by Holly Black. That might be Hanukkah, but it sounds a bit like Christmas, but in German, Swedish or something. Starts on page 167. Okay, so it's Norse. It's still Christmas, but it's Norse Christmas, so that's something. Gail Foreman, What the Hell Have You Done? Sophie Roth, page 197. Turn to page 394. This one is actually Hanukkah. It has the Hanukkah candles, so that's another one. Beer Buckets and Baby Jesus by Myra McIntyre, page 225. I'm guessing this one's Christmas. Welcome to Christmas CA, Kirsten White, 225. I'm not checking that, that's clearly Christmas. Star of Bethlehem by Ali Carter, 293. Could be Hanukkah, probably Christmas. Christmas. Girl Who Woke the Dreamer by Lani Taylor. Ooh, if that's a kind of spin-off, it won't be, because I'm pretty sure that Strange the Dreamer is more recent than this, but anyway. This one looks like it's a fantasy story, but it is also Christmas. Okay, so I feel like I might have a bit of a moan here now, because the thing is, I have found it really difficult to find festive stories not about Christmas. And I found this one, and it said that it was a mixture, right? I mean, I've read you the back. Whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah, winter solstice or Kwanzaa, this collection of 12 gorgeous stories will make you swoon with all the magic of the holidays. Well, no, that's not strictly true, is it? Because it's really one Hanukkah story, one Norse Christmas story, and then 9 Christmas stories and a New Year's Eve story, which is not quite what I was looking for and just serves to further my point. So I don't think I need to make my point any more than I already have, so I might read the Hanukkah and Norse Christmas story from this and then just save it for not this challenge. But I am going to read Sita's Ramayana and Once Upon an Eid and Herschel and Recommended for You. I've already read Dash and Lily's Book of Dares, and this winter I've got What Light by J. Asher. I plan to reread The Afterlife of Holly Chase, not necessarily for this video, but the priority for the rest of this reading challenge is reading these slightly more diverse titles. So, a bit disappointed about the anthology, but it's okay because I have this anthology, which is all about Eid, and I have the audiobook available through my library, so I'm going to read that one. This one I'm going to blow through in about 10 minutes. This one probably won't take me very long either, but I'm very happy that I have those titles. I'm glad that they arrived in time. I was a little bit worried about that because Wordery was the only place I could find them, and they weren't available for like a fast delivery option, but they have just arrived today, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited about this reading challenge. I'm in the midst of Shardathon round 2, so I don't know when I'm necessarily going to get to these, but I will get to them as soon as possible. Okay, not that you'd be able to tell, but it is actually several hours later now, and I just finished a book that I was reading for a different vlog, and I am thinking about that book a lot, but I kind of wanted to read this before bed because a friend of mine celebrates Hanukkah, and she has young children, they're good too. So she's looking for a good new Hanukkah read. So I thought that I would just read this quickly now, and then I can tell her whether I think it's good or not. So I'm just gonna do that, and you can watch me read it, because I think it will take me 5 or 10 minutes at most. It's very much a children's picture book. So let's go. And this is the 25th anniversary edition. This was originally published in 1985. Interesting. So it's basically just a story of a town where goblins have banned Hanukkah, and Herschel the Ostropole comes to town and says, I'll fix it, I'll make Hanukkah happen. And so he meets with the goblins over the nights of Hanukkah and tricks each of them so that Hanukkah can happen. And it's kind of cute, maybe a little bit stereotypical, but since it's a kids picture book, I mean, children wouldn't notice. I think that Eric Kimmel, the author, is Jewish. I hope so. So hopefully it's not offensive. But yeah, cute. I mean, clearly it's not a book aimed at a nearly 30-year-old woman, but it is a fun story, and I will recommend it to my friend for her kids. It is so dark. This lighting is awful. I apologise. It's the next day, the evening of the next day, now the 13th of December, and I'm about to do an Instagram live reading, and I'm going to read Sita's Ramayana because this is a graphic novel. I should be able to get through it reasonably quickly, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to read it during the live and finish it during the live. I'm not familiar with the Diwali story, so I'm interested to learn, and I will update you once I've read it. Okay, it's the 14th of December and I've just received from the library, not just today, received from the library my hold on the audiobook of The Afterlife of Holly Chase, which I'm very excited about. Tomorrow I'm probably going to be baking some cookies. Well, not baking, I'm going to be making the cookie dough. I'll be baking them later because I'm planning to bake cookies and wrap them up and give them as gifts to various people. So I'm going to make the batter tomorrow and I will probably listen to The Afterlife of Holly Chase whilst I do that. And I'm not going to be filming baking the cookies or making the cookie dough because I've actually got a whole video on my channel for the recipe for that, so I'll link that up above for you in case you're interested. They are very yummy, even if I do say so myself. And I just wanted to tell you because I'm very excited that I have access to that audiobook now. I'm still reading for Shardathon, but my next read for Shardathon is going to be a physical read, so I can't listen to it whilst I'm baking. So that's why I plan to start listening to Holly Chase while I'm baking, and I'm very excited about it. So I thought I'd share that with you. So it's a couple of days later now. I think it's the 16th of December. Anyway, and I read The Afterlife of Holly Chase yesterday on audio. I was following along for parts of it. I was also just listening while I was baking cookies, or not baking cookies, making cookie dough. Anyway, you know what I mean. I read this all yesterday, stayed up way too late doing it, but that's typical of me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. What I did notice is that I finished reading this last year on the 15th of December as well, so that's kind of weird. But yeah, I think I've already mentioned it's a Christmas Carol retelling, but gender bent, and she doesn't change her ways, so she dies and she becomes the ghost of Christmas past herself. And I really enjoyed rereading this because I picked up on a lot of things that I didn't pick up on the first time that I read it, some foreshadowing and that kind of thing, so that was really fun, and some Christmas Carol references that I didn't pick up on last time too, which I really enjoyed. I do actually quite want to read A Christmas Carol as well because I haven't read the original before, and my sister does actually have an audiobook for it through Audible, so I might listen to that if I get time. But I am trying to read quite a lot of books at the moment, so we'll see. But I just thoroughly enjoyed this, really, really loved it. I especially love the ending of this story. I had a great time being with Holly and the gang again, so really thoroughly enjoyed this one. Now I think today, because it's quite late in the day now, it's 5:30, and I haven't had much time for reading today because I've had some errands and things that I needed to run, so I think I'm going to read Once Upon an Eid today. So the audiobook is only about 5 hours, which, oh, I haven't noticed the hardback is got foiling on it. That's really nice. The audiobook for this is only 5 hours, so I can really easily listen to it because I listen at 2 times speed, so 2.5 hours to read this, which seems really short, but it is only 252 pages, so it's not really surprising. So yeah, I think I'm gonna read this tonight, and oh my gosh, so clumsy, and I will let you know how it is. Okay, so I read Once Upon an Eid yesterday and it was wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was informative because I learned things about Eid that I didn't know, but I also found it really heartwarming and fun, and it was powerful in some places and just joyful in other places. I really highly recommend this. It's not very long. It's an anthology, so lots of short stories in here. There are actually 15, so they're not very long each, and I massively recommend reading this, and I think this is a really lovely time of year to read it, but I think you can read it any time of year because Eid it changes when it is every year because it is based on the lunar cycle rather than the calendar. So you could just read this any time of year, and I recommend that you do because it was really lovely, and I will be keeping hold of it and reading it probably every year around this time of year now, because I of course celebrate Christmas, so I like to read festive things around December every year, and this is very festive and really lovely. There were a couple of poems in here as well. They're on the longer side, poems, but yeah, there were poems in here. There was a graphic novel in here. A graphic story, and the rest were mostly prose, so just was that 12 prose stories, 2 poems and a graphic novel type story, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really lovely and heartwarming and important and just a really great time, so I highly recommend this one. Okay, it is now the 20th of December, and yesterday I read What Light by J. Asher. It's only very short, so I did just read it in basically one sitting. I took a break like 20 pages from the end because I was hungry and wanted lunch, but other than that I read it all in one go. However, I did that just because it's a really short book, not because I was especially enjoying it. It was fine, but not my favourite. It's very insta-lovey, which I'm not a huge fan of. It follows Sierra, whose family own and run a Christmas tree farm. Is that what you would call it? Yeah, Christmas tree farm in Oregon, and that's where she spends the majority of her year. But then throughout the month of December, her family moved to California to sell the Christmas trees that they've been growing on their farm, and the story is based during that December as they are in California, and Sierra meets a boy, and the boy is a bad boy but he's misunderstood, and insta-love happens, and there's also some family stuff going on that I don't want to say too much about because it's very short, but I feel like there were just so many things that were unresolved by the end of this story. There were so many kind of threads of plot, too many actually for a book this short, because I mean I can't really talk about it without spoilers, but there are various sort of threads of plot line that just aren't properly finished, and I think that if J. Asher had decided to just drop a couple of those plot lines, he could have more nicely finished the ones that he left behind. So this was okay, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. So that's that one. And that means that the only one I have left now is Recommended for You by Laura Silverman. Although I don't know why it says author appearance instead of by. Anyway, so this is a Hannukah story, and I think that it's hate to love. I think I've said that before. Pretty sure it's hate to love. So it's, as I mentioned, the 20th of December today, so I'm probably going to read this one fairly soon so that I can get this vlog up before Christmas. I think that would probably be a wise decision, so I might try to read this one today, and I will let you know how it goes. Hello! Today is the 21st of December, and I have finished my final book for this reading challenge, which was Recommended for You by Laura Silverman, and I really enjoyed this. It was a really fun, easy, sweet rom-com contemporary. So this follows Shoshana, who has a job at a bookshop, and she loves working at the bookshop because she is a bookish person, much like myself, and I'm sure all of you as well, and that setting was just perfect for this. It's a little bit of teenage drama, but I really enjoyed it actually. So Shoshana has a lot of other things going on. There's this new guy at work who isn't being very nice to her, her car has broken down, and her parents... Sorry, that's Haruki scratching at the door. I better go and let him in. He doesn't know what he wants to do. So, and her mum's marriage is on the rocks. So she has a lot going on, and then there's this competition at work to see who can sell the most books as well, and she desperately wants to win, and her main competition is this new guy Jake, who's giving her a hard time. But it is a hate to love romance, and it's a Hanukkah story, which was really, really nice. I really enjoyed that element of it. It made it different from your standard festive read, which is exactly what I was looking for with this reading challenge. So this one I thoroughly enjoyed, and I can see it being one that I come back to for future festive seasons. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I really do recommend it. It's a super quick and easy read. It's 260 pages, and it's just really fun and light and easy, you know? So let's go through what I read for this reading challenge. So the first thing I read was Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by David Levithan and Rachel Cohn, and I also watched the adaptation for that. I liked the adaptation on Netflix more than I liked the book, but I did enjoy both. Then I read This Winter by Alice Oseman, which is kind of set part way between volumes of Heartstopper and also before Solitaire, but it follows the three Spring siblings, so Charlie, Tori and Oliver, as they have their Christmas day. It's very short, but it was really just a nice, lovely, quick read. And I should mention that both Dash and Lily's Book of Dares and This Winter are Christmas stories. And then I read Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins by Eric Kimmel and illustrated by Trina Schart-Hyman. And this one is a Hanukkah themed children's picture book, which is also very short, but it was just a fun story about Herschel, who has to save Hanukkah by lighting the menorah, even though the goblins are trying to stop him from doing so. So this was, I would recommend it for kids. It's really fun. Then I read Sita's Ramayana by Samita Arni and Moina Chitrakar, and this one is a graphic novel of one of the Ramayana stories, and this was my first time experiencing the story of Ramayana, or at least I think so. I possibly read something about the Ramayana when I was in high school, but honestly I don't remember. And this one is told from Sita's perspective. This has a lot of war and a lot of turmoil in it, but it was really interesting, and the art style is incredibly different. I'll show you the title page. So I really enjoyed the art style. One thing I would say is that the cast of characters is really quite big, and it was a little bit difficult to really follow what was going on, especially at the beginning of the story, but I did enjoy it. And that one is Diwali. Then I reread The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand, which is a Christmas story and in fact is a Christmas Carol retelling, a gender-bent one. Holly is a Scrooge, but unfortunately she doesn't change her ways, and so she becomes the ghost of Christmas past when she meets her untimely demise. Like I said, this was a reread. I love this book. I really enjoyed this story. It still made me emotional, even though I had read it before and knew exactly what was going to happen. So this was great. Then I read Once Upon an Eid by a variety of authors, but edited by S.K. Ali and Aisha Saeed, and this was probably my favourite book in this selection, not including The Afterlife of Holly Chase. These are probably tied, but I'm not counting this because it was a reread. This one, of course, is about Eid, and it's a collection of short stories about Eid or set during Eid, and I just loved it. It was absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend it if you pick up one book because of this video. This one should be it. It was great. Adored it. It's wonderful. Read it, and you can read it any time of year because Eid can be any time of year. So I strongly recommend this one. And then, as I just mentioned, I finished up with Recommended for You by Laura Silverman, which was a Hanukkah read as well, and I also very much enjoyed this. So these are all of the books that I read for this festive reading challenge. I feel very festive as a result. I think that this one probably made me feel the most festive out of all of them because they're just stories of love and acceptance and just food, and it's just wonderful. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Highly recommend. Like I said, my number one recommendation from this video is this one, but I had a great time reading these, and I hope that you have had a great time watching this video. If you celebrate Christmas, then happy Christmas, because Christmas is tomorrow when you're watching this. And if you celebrate Eid Mubarak, I hope you had a wonderful one. If you celebrate Diwali, I hope you had an amazing Diwali. And Chag Samach Hanukkah, if you celebrate Hanukkah, I hope you had a really great Hanukkah as well. I'm really sorry if I pronounced any of that wrong, but I hope you had wonderful festive seasons anyway. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks, bye.